Ladies and gentlemen, today we stand at the threshold of a new dawn, where ancient wisdom meets modern ambition, and a timeless spirit awakens to shape the future. India, a land of profound heritage and relentless courage, is rising like never before. This is more than a story of power. It is a spiritual journey of a nation reclaiming its destiny, guided by the light of unity, resilience, and purpose. Join me as we explore the unstoppable rise of India, a story that inspires hope, pride, and a vision for a world transformed. JAISHANKAR'S strategic diplomacy has been a defining factor in reshaping India's position on the world stage. As India's External Affairs Minister, he brought a new level of confidence, clarity, and calculated boldness to the country's foreign policy. His approach was not just about maintaining traditional alliances, but about expanding India's global reach with a clear vision of national interest and global influence. JAISHANKAR understands that diplomacy is not merely a tool of negotiation, but an exercise of power, perception, and patience. He has skillfully balanced India's relationships with major world powers, while simultaneously building new partnerships with emerging nations and regional players. This strategy has allowed India to assert itself independently rather than being seen as reliant on any one global power. His diplomatic efforts have been marked by a focus on pragmatic engagement. Rather than ideological alignment, JAISHANKAR pursues shared interests, whether economic, security, related, or cultural. He has also been willing to challenge long-standing assumptions, pushing back when India's sovereignty or core interests are threatened. This assertiveness has been a departure from India's historically more cautious diplomacy. Moreover, JAISHANKAR has leveraged his extensive experience and deep understanding of international affairs to navigate complex geopolitical challenges. His background as a seasoned diplomat has helped India manage delicate relationships with neighboring countries and global powers alike. His ability to communicate India's position with clarity and firmness has earned respect internationally. In an era where global politics is increasingly multipolar and unpredictable, JAISHANKAR'S diplomacy focuses on flexibility and foresight. By combining traditional diplomatic channels with innovative outreach, he has positioned India to seize opportunities and mitigate risks in a rapidly changing world. His approach signals a confident India ready to take charge of its own destiny on the international stage. India's emergence as a global power has come with a clear challenge to the traditional influence of the United States in international affairs. For decades, the U.S. held a dominant position as a global leader, often setting the tone for economic policies, security alliances, and diplomatic agendas around the world. India's rise under strategic leaders has marked a shift in this dynamic, signaling a more multipolar world where the U.S. no longer holds uncontested sway. This challenge to U.S. influence is not born out of confrontation for its own sake, but from India's desire to assert its sovereignty and chart an independent path on the global stage. India's foreign policy under JAISHANKAR and others has emphasized strategic autonomy, meaning India makes decisions based on its national interests rather than aligning automatically with U.S. preferences. This approach has occasionally led to friction, but also to a more balanced relationship between the two countries. The nature of this challenge is multifaceted. Economically, India is no longer dependent on the U.S. for aid or development support, but is instead a rapidly growing economy attracting global investment on its own terms. Militarily, India is modernizing its defense capabilities and engaging with multiple global players, sometimes diverging from U.S. strategic priorities. Politically, India has taken independent stands in international forums, including issues where it may differ from the U.S. perspective. Moreover, India is expanding its diplomatic reach into regions where the U.S. influence was traditionally stronger, such as Africa, Southeast Asia, and Central Asia. By cultivating new partnerships and asserting its role in global governance, India is recalibrating power balances that have long favored the United States. This evolving dynamic reflects a world where global influence is shared, contested, and constantly renegotiated. with India emerging as a key player capable of challenging long-established powers through a combination of economic strength, strategic diplomacy, and sovereign decision-making. India's economic growth over the past few decades has been a powerful engine driving its rise as a global power. With a population exceeding 1.4 billion, India stands as one of the world's largest and fastest-growing economies. This growth is not just measured in numbers, but in its transformative impact on India's global standing and influence. The country has witnessed significant expansion in sectors such as information technology, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and services. India's tech industry, in particular, has become a global powerhouse, with cities like Bengaluru and Hyderabad emerging as key innovation hubs. The rise of startups and digital platforms has fueled entrepreneurship and job creation, attracting substantial foreign investment and boosting export. Infrastructure development has also played a critical role in India's economic surge. Investments in transportation, energy, and urban development have improved connectivity and productivity, helping integrate regional markets into the national and global economy. Programs aimed at financial inclusion have brought millions of people into the formal economy, increasing consumer demand and expanding the middle class. India's economic reforms, including liberalization, deregulation, and efforts to improve the ease of doing business, have enhanced the country's competitiveness on the world stage. Trade partnerships and participation in global supply chains have deepened, enabling India to become a vital link in international commerce. The demographic dividend further bolsters India's growth prospects. A young and expanding workforce promises a dynamic consumer base and a pool of talent capable of driving innovation and economic expansion for decades to come. However, challenges remain, such as income inequality, infrastructure gaps, and regulatory complexities. Yet the overall trajectory is one of sustained growth, positioning India as an economic force capable of influencing global markets and shaping the future of international economic policies. India's rise as a global power has been significantly aided by its efforts to strengthen and diversify its alliances. Recognizing that no nation can rise alone in today's interconnected world, India has pursued a foreign policy focused on building strategic partnerships across continents, moving beyond traditional alignments to embrace a broader, more inclusive approach. One key aspect of India's strengthened alliances is its deepening ties with established powers such as the United States, Japan, Australia, and the European Union. These relationships are based on shared interests like regional security, economic cooperation, and technological collaboration. Initiatives like the Quad, comprising India, the U.S., Japan, and Australia, exemplify India's commitment to working with partners who support a free and open Indo-Pacific region, balancing the rise of other powers and ensuring stability. Simultaneously, India has expanded its reach into new regions including Africa, Latin America, and Central Asia. These emerging partnerships focus on trade, infrastructure development, energy cooperation, and capacity building. By engaging with these regions, India not only secures access to critical resources, but also cultivates political goodwill and influence. India's alliances also emphasize multilateralism. The country actively participates in forums like BRICS, the G20, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, using these platforms to advance its strategic goals and foster collaboration among diverse nations. This approach enhances India's voice on global issues such as climate change, terrorism, and sustainable development. Importantly, India's alliance building reflects a pragmatic, interest-based diplomacy. Rather than forming exclusive blocs, India prefers flexible partnerships that allow it to navigate complex global dynamics independently. This adaptability has enabled India to maintain balanced relations even when global powers have competing interests. By strengthening its alliances thoughtfully and strategically, India has created a robust network of partnerships that underpin its emergence as a confident and influential global actor. India's advancements in defense and technology have been crucial to its rise as a formidable global power. Over the past few decades, India has invested heavily in modernizing its military capabilities, focusing on building a strong, self-reliant defense infrastructure that can protect its borders and assert its interests on the world stage. The country's defense modernization includes the acquisition of advanced weaponry, development of indigenous defense technologies, and enhancement of strategic capabilities such as missile systems, naval fleets, and air force strength. India has also prioritized the development of cyber and space defense to address emerging threats in the digital and outer space domains, recognizing that future conflicts will increasingly rely on these arenas. A major focus has been on Make in India initiatives within the defense sector, encouraging domestic production and reducing dependence on foreign suppliers. This push has led to increased collaboration between Indian companies and global defense manufacturers, fostering innovation and boosting India's industrial base. Technological advancements are not limited to defense alone. India has made remarkable progress in fields like information technology, space exploration, and artificial intelligence. The Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO) has launched numerous successful missions, including the Mars Orbiter mission and Chandrayaan lunar missions, which have elevated India's status in the global space community. India's growing technological capabilities support its strategic autonomy by providing the tools necessary to defend national interests without over-reliance on external powers. This technological self-reliance strengthens India's negotiating power in international forums and enhances its ability to contribute to global security initiatives. Through a combination of cutting-edge defense technology and an emphasis on innovation, India is shaping a future where it can stand confidently among the world's leading powers, equipped to protect its sovereignty and project strength across multiple domains. Diplomatic assertiveness has become a defining feature of India's foreign policy, marking a significant shift from its historically cautious and reactive approach. India today engages with the world with confidence, clarity, and a firm commitment to protecting its national interests. This new assertiveness is visible in how India addresses regional conflicts, global challenges, and complex international relationships. Under this approach, India no longer shies away from taking clear, sometimes bold positions on issues that affect its sovereignty, security, and development. Whether it is handling border disputes, counterterrorism efforts, or trade negotiations, India asserts its stance without hesitation. This marks a departure from a past tendency to avoid confrontation, reflecting a more mature and self-assured diplomatic posture. India's assertiveness is also demonstrated in its willingness to speak out on global issues like climate change, global health, and economic reform. Rather than simply following global consensus, India actively shapes agendas to reflect the realities and needs of developing countries. This proactive engagement signals India's intent to be a leader rather than a follower on the world stage. Furthermore, India's diplomatic assertiveness extends to managing its relationships with major powers. It maintains strategic autonomy by carefully balancing ties with countries like the US, China, and Russia. This balancing act requires a nuanced and confident diplomatic strategy, showing India's ability to engage constructively while standing firm on key concerns. By exercising diplomatic assertiveness, India has moved from being a passive player to a strategic actor. This shift enhances its influence in international affairs and strengthens its hand in negotiations, allowing India to protect its interests and contribute meaningfully to global governance. US-India relations have undergone a profound transformation over the past several decades, evolving from a limited partnership to a complex and multifaceted relationship marked by both cooperation and competition. Historically, the relationship was cautious and sometimes distant. influenced by differing Cold War alignments and contrasting strategic priorities. However, in recent years, the dynamic between the two democracies has shifted dramatically, reflecting changes in global politics and India's growing stature. Today, the U.S. and India share strong economic ties, with trade and investment flows increasing significantly. The two countries collaborate closely in areas such as defense, counterterrorism, technology, and energy. Joint military exercises and defense agreements have enhanced strategic cooperation, signaling a mutual interest in regional stability and security. The partnership is also shaped by shared democratic values, which provide a foundation for deeper engagement. At the same time, this relationship is no longer one-sided or dependent. India asserts its strategic autonomy, making decisions based on its national interests rather than automatically aligning with U.S. policies. This independence has sometimes led to disagreements, particularly on issues like trade policies, human rights, and diplomatic stances on other global powers. These tensions reflect India's desire to maintain sovereignty and flexibility in its foreign policy. The transformation of U.S.-India relations also reflects a broader global context, where India is emerging as a key player in the Indo-Pacific region. Both countries recognize the importance of countering regional threats and promoting a free and open order. However, India remains cautious about becoming overly dependent on any single power, seeking instead a balanced approach that allows it to engage with multiple partners. Overall, the evolution of U.S.-India relations is a story of growing mutual respect, pragmatic cooperation, and a shared interest in shaping a stable and prosperous global order, while acknowledging each other's independent paths. India's presence in global forums has grown significantly in recent years, reflecting its rising influence and ambition to shape international policies and decisions. As one of the world's largest democracies and fastest-growing economies, India brings a unique perspective to platforms like the United Nations, G20, BRICS, and other multilateral organizations. Its active participation demonstrates a commitment to global governance and a desire to address pressing worldwide challenges. At the United Nations, India has been a vocal advocate for reform, particularly calling for changes to the Security Council to reflect contemporary geopolitical realities. India argues for greater representation of developing countries and more equitable decision-making processes. This stance has earned it widespread support from many nations and highlights its leadership aspirations. In economic forums such as the G20, India plays a crucial role in discussions on sustainable development, trade policies, and financial stability. India's priorities often focus on balancing growth with social inclusion, climate action, and poverty alleviation. Its contributions aim to ensure that global economic policies benefit not only developed countries, but also emerging economies and vulnerable populations. India's participation in BRICS, a group of 5 major emerging economies, allows it to collaborate with nations like Brazil, Russia, China, and South Africa on issues ranging from economic cooperation to political coordination. Through BRICS, India pushes for a multipolar world where power is more evenly distributed and developing countries have a stronger voice. Additionally, India uses these forums to highlight global challenges such as climate change, terrorism, and health crises. By taking leadership roles and proposing innovative solutions, India demonstrates its readiness to be a responsible global player. India's growing voice in global forums signifies its transition from a regional actor to a global influencer, committed to shaping the international order in ways that reflect its values and interests. India's cultural and soft power influence plays a vital role in enhancing its global stature and shaping perceptions worldwide. Unlike hard power, which relies on military and economic strength, soft power leverages culture, values, and ideas to build relationships and foster goodwill. India's rich heritage, diverse traditions, and global diaspora have become powerful tools in projecting its influence across the world. Bollywood, India's film industry is one of the most prominent examples of its soft power. Indian cinema reaches millions globally, telling stories that resonate beyond borders and showcasing the country's creativity and culture. The popularity of Bollywood has helped spread Indian music, fashion, and language, creating cultural bridges and sparking curiosity about India's traditions and way of life. Another key element is India's spiritual heritage, particularly yoga and meditation, which have gained immense popularity worldwide. Practices rooted in ancient Indian philosophy promote wellness, peace, and mindfulness, attracting followers from different countries and backgrounds. This spiritual outreach enhances India's image as a nation of wisdom and harmony. India's vast diaspora, spread across continents, also contributes significantly to its soft power. Indian communities abroad act as cultural ambassadors, fostering economic ties, promoting Indian values, and influencing the societies where they live. They help create networks that facilitate trade, investment, and diplomatic connections between India and other nations. Festivals, cuisine, literature, and traditional arts further enrich India's cultural influence, drawing global interest and admiration. Through cultural diplomacy and initiatives like the International Day of Yoga, India strengthens its connections with the world and promotes mutual understanding. This soft power complements India's economic and strategic rise, making its global presence multidimensional. It builds friendships, opens doors for cooperation, and lays a foundation of trust that supports India's broader ambitions on the international stage. The phrase "final strike" symbolizes a decisive and transformative moment in India's journey to becoming a global power. It represents the culmination of years of strategic effort, diplomacy, and national determination to assert India's rightful place on the world stage. This concept captures the idea that India has moved beyond tentative steps and is now taking confident, bold actions that mark a clear shift in global dynamics. The final strike reflects a turning point where India no longer waits for validation or permission from established powers, but confidently pursues its own interests. It is about ending a period of relative obscurity or dependence and stepping into a role of leadership and influence. This moment signifies India's emergence as a major player capable of shaping international policies, alliances, and economic trends on its own terms. This symbolism is also tied to India's diplomatic strategy, where careful preparation meets bold execution. It means leveraging India's growing economic strength, military capabilities, and strategic alliances to make moves that change the status quo. The final strike can be seen in India's assertive diplomacy, its readiness to challenge traditional power centers, and its efforts to carve out new spaces of influence. Furthermore, this term embodies the spirit of resilience and ambition. It acknowledges the challenges India has faced, from colonial legacies to geopolitical pressures, and celebrates the country's ability to overcome these obstacles. The final strike represents a moment of triumph, where India's perseverance and vision translate into tangible global power. In essence, the symbolism of the final strike captures the essence of a new era, one where India rises unapologetically, reshaping the global order and signaling that a new balance of power has arrived. In closing, India's rise as a global power is no accident. It is the result of visionary leadership, strategic diplomacy, economic strength, and cultural influence. The era of waiting is over. India now stands tall, shaping the world with confidence and purpose. This is a moment of pride for every Indian and a new chapter in global history. As India continues this journey, may its determination inspire us all to believe in our potential and work relentlessly for a brighter future. Thank you for your attention, and best of luck to everyone as we witness and contribute to India's unstoppable rise.